So today we're going to take a look at the Gastroback Design Espresso Barista Touch. Now this machine kind of looks at first glance like Sage had a baby, right? It looks very similar to the Barista Express or the Barista Touch Impress because it has the touch screen here. It includes a lot of elements you're used to seeing on Sage Breville machines, like the integrated grinder, the portafilter holder here. The form is very similar to how the metal has been bent on this machine. Even the drip tray is also similar in design, at least optically. So you can see this machine has taken a whole lot of inspiration from the barista line of Sage Breville, but it's not. And what's kind of confusing is that this is made by Gastroback, and Gastroback used to have their label on the Barista Express in Germany, at least. So there was some kind of collaboration between the two companies, the Breville Australia and Gastroback Germany. Anyway, this is a machine all on its own. Well, not quite. There's another machine that looks exactly like this one. It's called the Ariete 1312. So I'm not really sure if there is some kind of affiliation too between Gastroback and Ariete. Maybe those two companies are underneath the same umbrella. I'm not so sure about that, but we're going to talk about this machine today and see what it comes with, the features, how it works, and is this good for the price? That's what you really have to ask yourself. And I'm doing this video as a disclaimer because I think there isn't a video yet on the machine, and some people might be curious, is it a good one or not? Should I get it or should I get something else? So that's why we're going to take a look at it today, and I did get this machine delivered to me for free from Gastroback. But of course I'm going to give my honest opinion, and I have many of them on this machine. So with that being the case, stick around until the end, because at the end I'm going to tell you with a hashtag what's going to happen with this machine. So anyway, looking at the machine, I mean, it's a diminutive little Sage Barista Touch essentially, but then again also a bit different. So instead of having the grinder here on the left side, it's on the right side, and the steam wand is over here instead of being over here. But otherwise, I mean, look at this, even the design here and the rubber inside is very similar to the Barista Express models. This is the burr. It's a conical one made out of stainless steel, so that's a good point. This bean hopper does not come off, by the way, but at least you can get the burrs out, so you can clean it, and that's nice. The grinder, I was very disappointed with when I first started with this machine. It did not grind fine enough for espresso, but there's a trick. You have to start grinding and then adjust the wheel down to, or up to 8 rather, and then there's a secret button that you press in here on the dial wheel, and what that does is disengages a hook that goes onto a spindle to allow for a finer grind. At least that's how I think it works. So I was able to get it to grind fine enough for espresso, but it feels like there's a fair amount of play in the wheel, and I do not know how well it's actually holding the position. There's 11 steps on here, and I'm right around 3 right now. There are steps in between the steps. I just did something you're not supposed to do. Should only adjust that while you're grinding. So let's grind and adjust. Now this machine does come with a whole bunch of stuff. It comes with a proper tamper, even with a metal bottom. That's super nice, wooden handle on it, so that's kind of a cool thing. It is 51 millimeters. So you might be thinking DeLonghi. DeLonghi portafilters do not fit in here. You might be thinking Gavi or Silvercrest. Those portafilters don't fit in here either. Just this guy. So with that being the case, you can only really use this portafilter, but it is a nice heavy one. It weighs 495 grams. It actually feels pretty good in the hand, and I would say I'm satisfied with the portafilter. And again, I have been using it, so you know, don't get mad at me if this stuff's a little dirty. The inside has got a plastic insert. That's kind of a normal thing for machines of this price range, and you get a basket like this one here. This is a non-pressurized one, double basket. And you get a whole bunch of other ones too. Look, here's a pressurized double basket. Here is a pressurized single basket. Here is one, I think, for pods, and a non-pressurized single basket. You also get a back flush disc. And that's interesting. This machine actually does come with a 3-way solenoid valve. Therefore, you can and should back flush. That is something unusual. I don't think I've seen that in any 51mm brew group. Something else that's really unusual to me and a positive surprise is the fact that this seems to have 2 heating elements inside. I can go from espresso to milk steaming somewhat quickly, but the main thing is after steaming, you don't hear any cooling down of the boiler. So I'm guessing, or the thermal block, I should say. So I'm guessing that there's one thermal block dedicated to brewing espresso and one dedicated to the steam. That's just a guess of mine. I don't really know that. Now, one thing I really don't like is the water tank. It's on a really thin, this handle here that you're supposed to pull up on is like super flimsy. I'm afraid that I'm gonna break that sucker. So I don't pull up on it by that. Rather, I take my hands and pull up here so that I don't break this part. So you can tell that this design is also similar to what they got on the Sages, but you see also, look at that, the water filter wiggles in there. So what's strange is that the water filter doesn't really get seated down into place. It's not actually a good fit, and that's weird. So water tank, definitely strange, but I mean, it works. And even though there is no sensor here that I can see, somehow this machine does recognize when the water is low. So that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. But anyhow, so I took this machine to work for a whole week just to let the other mechanical engineers play with it. And in general, they liked it. But one thing that they didn't care for, of course, is how this metal here is bent. You can tell on the drip tray, there is quite a difference here in the seam of the drip tray to the actual body of the machine. That's kind of weird. You would expect that to be better for the price tag that this machine has. This machine, I think the MSRP on it is 900 euros, and you can find it online for like 800. So it's playing in the same league as the Sage Breville machines, but from a fabrication standpoint, it is not offering that. I would say also, in regards to the grinder, it doesn't offer that either. The grinder feels spongy to me, and there is a fair amount of variance between the clicks, and so I just do my best to get close enough to espresso. Talking about espresso, I think we should make one. So we've talked about the water tank, the grinder, the drip tray, the brew group a little bit. I think we should make an espresso, but first, let's take a look at the display, because I actually am pretty positively surprised by the display. It's snappy and it's got a really good contrast, good colors to it. Let's take a look. Alright, so let's just go through the user interface here on the Gastroback. Here you can see we've got just one physical button here illuminated on the right side. That's to power it on and power it off. Now looking here at the display menu, you've got that broken down into coffee beverages, milk-based beverages, teas. They've got different temperatures for that, as well as a guide and setting. Let's first take a look at the coffee beverages. What you'll notice is that this is a pretty snappy user interface. Let's see. Espresso, espresso pod, coffee crema, Americano, and espresso macchiato. Another thing that you're going to see is that it's got different profiles. So you've got these different 4 guys down here with the different colored cups, the blue, orange, green, and purple. And so you can configure your drinks accordingly. So if we take a look at espresso, you can also choose between 1 cup and 2 cup. I normally use the 2 cup. And then on the left, you got your grinding amount. On the right, you've got your size. So as soon as you press that button, it's going to start grinding. You can use the settings here. If you hit that wheel, and right now it's set to personal taste. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and set it to manual, and then I've ground the amount that I want for a certain amount of time, filled up the portafilter, and at the end I said, yes, I want to save that setting. And that's what becomes your personal taste. There's also other ones here. There's strong taste, there's mild taste, and those are timers, but of course it doesn't tell you how much time, unfortunately. So let's head back. And if you press the I, it's going to show you a dual walled 2 cup. I don't know how to change that, but I'm not using that one. I am using the normal single wall basket. Anyhow, if we go into the settings, you can see again here it's based on, I believe it's time. So you got long, you've got extra long, and medium, short, and so on. So what I do is I'll just start it usually with an extra long and stop it when I want it to be stopped. So that is the espresso drinks. These are just kind of variations of that. Now if we go back to the home screen, you can see actually the display is pretty nice. I don't know how well it translates to video, but it's a nice crisp display, good colors, good representation, milk-based beverages. You can do simply hot milk if you want. The froth amount, I'm not really sure what that does, to be honest. But then if you click that, put the mug under the steam wand and wait for the steam to reach the right temperature. Once you hit done, it's going to start steaming. But we're going to abort that. Here's something really weird. You see that stop? I don't know if you can see that, but there's a button here. If you press stop here, nothing happens. You have to press on this tiny little thing here to stop it. Okay, so that's something I wanted to mention. If you want to stop, it's kind of unintuitive. So again, for a cappuccino, you have to grind your beans first, then you pull your shot, and then you do the milk frothing. Now, as far as tea is concerned, if we take a look at the tea, what they have are different ones: white, green, oolong, and black tea, and these are ascending temperatures. So white tea, I believe, if I remember right from the manual, 65 degrees, 75, 85, 95 degrees. I have measured them, and they're kind of inconsistent, but anyway, that is the tea section there. Now, for the guide, you've got a maintenance where they help you go through the cleaning, the descaling, the steam wand cleaning, and setting the water hardness. Mine is set super hard. If we take a look at the guide and info, it's going to show you QR code to go to a video tutorial. There's a grinding and brewing guide and some tips. There's a statistic. Okay, well, it must have deleted mine because I made a whole bunch of drinks with this. And then the settings. So you can change the language. You've got German, English, Italian, I think that's Denmark, Danish, and French. You can set the time. You can set the coffee temperature. I got it set to high right now. You can also set it to medium, low, and max. And what else have we got? Brightness. Yeah, that's about it. So let's get back to the video. All right, now that we've taken a look at the display, it's time to make an espresso.
Getting value from this video? Please take a moment to like and subscribe.
It's a little bit strange to grind on this machine because it's time-based, but you don't see the timer. So what I'm going to do, come on, is I'm going to go to the coffee beverages, espresso, a double, and now there's a grinding amount. There's a little wheel here on top where I can set it. So for personal taste, that's with the preset time that I did last time. I'm actually going to change that because I don't know where I'm going to be now. To manual, put some new beans in there. And I'm just gonna let it rip until it's getting pretty full, and I'm gonna stop it. All right, it's getting a little staticky there, and I hope that grind's gonna be all right. I could tell the grind was a little bit off, so I adjusted it there on the fly, but I think that should work out more or less. 15 grams, that's about what I've been able to fit in here. Excellent. All right, so that's what our puck looks like right there. Now let's give it a shot. What's kind of interesting is, do I want to save this? Yes, I want to save that amount for all drinks. Excellent. So what's kind of interesting about this machine is that it varies a lot in time to warm up to the shot. The machine needs about a half a minute to a minute to turn on and warm up and go through its cleaning cycle. But then it also needs time before it pulls a shot. Let's take a look. Okay, so I'm just gonna hit the button there. Brewing coffee. Okay, so you can see it's heating up. Machine is heating up, it says. Been going already for 10 seconds. Been going for 15 seconds. I don't know why it takes so long to heat up. I wonder if maybe it's getting just the right temperature. So 20 seconds. It's got a pre-infusion, as you can see there. And here comes our shot. Oh, that one's a little fast. All right, stop it right there. So I stopped it at 30 grams, and that was about 16 seconds, right around there. So that's too fast, but we'll adjust it on the subsequent grind. So there you can see though that look, even with that non-pressurized basket, that single wall basket, it is able to get crema because the beans are fresh. So that's the most important thing when it comes to making espresso. Fresh beans, soft water, a decent grind. I mean, it should at least be in the area, and you're gonna get a decent amount of crema on there. Also, the more Robusta that you use is the more crema that you'll get, and also the more caffeine that you'll get, in case that's important to you. I mean, the flavor is actually pretty good on these. That one was too fast, so I don't really want to evaluate that one, but the temperature is good. Anyway, that's an espresso. I would like to do a coffee crema next, and then we're gonna do a cappuccino. So one of the things that I do like about this machine is how it steams milk. It's really good at doing that. So the coffee crema is a really, really popular drink in Germany, and I think probably in other parts of Europe too. So let's do a coffee crema. All that is essentially a longer pull. So you grind maybe slightly coarser than you would otherwise, and then you just pull a nice long shot to fill up your coffee cup. So here we go. Coffee crema, 2 cups. The grinding amount, I'm gonna keep the one from last time, and here we go. Okay. Seems like it didn't quite get my grinding time. That's okay. So here we go. All right, so here comes the coffee crema. I mean, it's not an overly loud machine. Besides the grinder is a little bit loud. But otherwise, it's not bad. Are you done? Yeah. Okay. So there we got a coffee crema. You can see there is a good amount of crema on there. Yeah, looks pretty good. And the taste? I mean, it's actually pretty good, to be honest. It's a nice temperature. I don't know if you can see, it's steaming. So some coffee machines with thermal blocks, they're known for not producing enough heat. This one I think actually does. It's just doing a nice job. It's providing enough heat to actually even extract like a bit more sweetness than I'm used to sometimes out of these beans compared to some other machines, some other super automatics, for example, which also do a coffee crema. Yeah, there's the bittersweet chocolate in there still, and that for, you know, a nice long shot, it's nice to still have those flavors in there. So coffee crema with some sweetness, almost just a little bit of cherry flavor in the background. It's nice. It's a nice coffee crema. Espresso was okay. We're gonna try another espresso here for our cappuccino. But I mean, it actually does a fine job in my estimation. I think because it's providing enough heat, and I don't know if there's a PID in there, but it's doing a fair job with the extraction. So, and the puck knockouts are relatively clean also, I believe, because it is a 51 millimeter. So, who is in the mood for a cappuccino? This guy. Let's do a cappuccino. Go back to home. We're gonna go to milk-based beverages. Cappuccino. Yeah, grind. Okay, that wasn't enough. Grind again. Could be just enough. This thing is $4.95. Let's see, we got 509, so that's 14 grams. I actually want 15. That's probably good right there. Yeah, 15 grams is what I got in there. Unfortunately, we cannot see the shot because we don't have a bottomless portafilter that fits this machine. That's really kind of unfortunate, but I'm gonna do a little WT anyhow. Some people claim that when you do that bump, that you're gonna make the fine settle to the bottom. I don't know, I like to make it a little bit cleaner before I tamp. That's what the puck looks like right there. Now let's pull ourselves another espresso. And then we're gonna pour this espresso into our cappuccino. Let's see how long this takes to heat up this time. Size. I'm just gonna make the size extra long so that I can stop it when I want. I don't want it stopping too early. Go. Huh. Okay, it started right away that time. It varies for some reason. Okay. It looks like I got the grind maybe a little too fine on that one. I knocked it down from a 4 to a 3. And as you see, there's not a whole ton of variance in there. I could try like 3.5 for the next shot. It's probably what I'll do. Yeah, that's taking too long. Let's just stop that. All right, so you see, that's kind of the issue with a machine like this. If you just go from 4 to 3, for example, there's quite a difference there. I'm gonna try that again, and I'm gonna go from 3 to 3.5. And again, we're gonna do our WDT here as well as we can. I think this shot will come out a little bit nicer. You see, I keep cleaning this area because it does spit a fair amount of grinds out. And also, I'm a little sloppy. All right, here, let's try again to pull our shot. All right, as you see there, that shot is also gonna run too slow, even though I have it set on 3.5, 3 3/4. You know, it is what it is. It's gonna require some experimentation. I'd have to go up further. So it's like what I mean. Before I was at 4 and it was too coarse, and then I went down to 3 and it's too fine. 3.5 is too fine. If I go back up to 4, I think it's still gonna be too fine. So there's like some play in the dial setting. At least that's what it seems like to me. But we're gonna use this one anyhow. It's always a good idea to use nice fresh milk. You don't want to use ultra pasteurized. That doesn't work very well. Stop that. Okay. So that's what our shot looks like right there. That one doesn't look too bad. Despite taking so long, it's not bitter. A little bit, just a little bit bitter. It's lacking a little bit of depth compared to some other machines that I've used. Maybe that's because of the grinder. So if like clarity is the separation of flavors, it might be lacking a little bit in that regard. And what we're gonna do next is steam some milk. So let's go ahead and go to froth amount. Put the mug under the steam one and wait for the steam one to reach the right temperature. Okay. Okay, I wanted to just let it purge a little bit, and now I'm going to do some milk steaming. So what I kind of wanted to mention is that this machine has got nice power. As you can see, there are no issues there. You can get a nice whirlpool going. Should have used a bigger pitcher. Don't mind the mess there. That's a bit of user error on my part. So there we go. So there we got actually a pretty nice looking cappuccino. This machine is more than capable of doing so. And don't mind my user error there before. I underestimated a little bit the power of this machine, and I must have had this filled up just a little bit too high. And how is the cappuccino? It's tasty. It's tasty. I'll be honest, just about any machine is capable of making nice silky milk, and most machines are capable of making at least a passable espresso, even the cheap machines. And this one can also do it. That is no issue at all. So, but let's wrap it up and talk about, is this machine worth the asking price? What is my opinion on it? Can I recommend it to you guys? All right, so this machine's asking price is 900 euros and you can find it for about 800. For me, that's definitely too expensive for this machine. And the reason is mainly for having to deal with the grinder. The grinder to me feels like too spongy. It's not that easy to dial in. And I think for some people, especially especially because you have to do that special trick in the beginning, pressing the button in to be able to move the dial wheel to get it to grind finer. I think that's going to be a no-go for a lot of people who don't have a lot of experience with espresso machines. That would be frustrating. You know, the build quality, the fabrication really leaves something to be desired. If I'm paying 800 euros for something, I expect the seams to line up. And an absolute no-go for me is the water tank that you have to be so sensitive with and not lift up by the lid. I really don't like how flimsy that is. That is quite the shame. And the fact that the water filter doesn't properly fit, I don't know if it's doing anything. So in some ways, I ask myself, you know, what were they thinking with the design? But in regards to usability, besides the grinder, and besides the fact that they don't show any times here, so you don't know exactly what you're setting up, from a usability standpoint, you know, in some ways it's kind of good. I really like the concept of an all-in-one machine, of one where you can make a coffee crema and then an espresso and a cappuccino. It's nice to have the menu here. A lot of people are looking for that. You know, a touch HMI, that's kind of a nice thing. And I oftentimes want to start the morning with a coffee crema or with a long black. And these kind of machines are nice for that. But for the price, I would say no. That's just my opinion on it. And also, I don't know, okay, what's the deal with the Ariete 1312? Are those two companies selling the same item? Or are they pulling it maybe from a Chinese manufacturer, kind of like Me Coffee and Turin do? I don't know. But interesting machine, some ways frustrating, in other ways a bit redeeming. And now I'm at the end of the video, and here's the thing I wanted to tell you. I'm going to give this machine away. So if you're interested in this machine, if you need one, if you live in Europe, then I would like you to put a hashtag country, the country that you live in, whether that's France or Germany or wherever in Europe I'll ship this to, and put a hashtag Gastroback. Yeah, why not? So put those two hashtags if you're interested in getting this item, and I will just randomly select one person from a country in Europe to ship this to. I hope that the demo of this machine was helpful for you guys. Maybe you learned something. Either way, thanks for being with me. Until next time, I say happy cappuccino drinking. Arrivederci. Pfiat euch, which is Bavarian for goodbye. And bye now.